Pretty girls can't afford to hang around broke people. Pretty girls can't afford to date broke men. If you have pretty privilege, which I know that most of you girls have, or you're working on making yourself a better and hotter version of yourself, you cannot afford to be around people that have broke mentalities, which also often leads to you having no money, aka being physically broke. And you might say, well, I have friends that don't have any money and I don't want to get rid of them and I can't be greedy and materialistic like that. That's terrible. There's a big difference between not having any money and having a broke mentality and being a broke person. But often, what keeps us from actually getting the life we want and the treatment we deserve and what we're trying to manifest in our lives is because we are not picky enough with the people we choose to have around us when we do glow up and grow. Because when you change, people's attitude changes towards you as well. And especially when you realize that you're actually an amazing, gorgeous woman. When you realize your pretty privilege, when you realize how hot you are, that's when you also have to realize that there's a lot of people that you can't keep having in your life. And I'm not telling you to go send your mom and your friends and everyone that you used to hang around a whole paragraph about that they're broke and they have a broke mentality, so now you want to never hang out with them again. No. Pretty girls also understand that you have to be strategic and you have to make sure that the right attention flows towards you, not the wrong one. Because when you do change and you do level up, people will be much more aware of your actions, which is why when you're trying to let go of people in your life that have broke mentalities that you have been spending a lot of time around and that probably have made you a people pleaser, that have made you feel like you needed to be their therapist, that made you feel like you couldn't put effort into yourself. It is important to move strategically. And what does that mean? You need to make it seem like nothing has happened, while in reality, it has. Because they will know that something has happened. They will see it on your face. They will see it in your glow. They will see it in your boundaries. But if you're truly serious about getting the life that you want and keeping yourself at the level that you deserve to be at, you cannot afford to stoop down and compromise your boundaries when people start asking questions, which is why you have to avoid questions. And this is why you have to avoid people with broke mentalities, because these are the people that will become triggered by the fact that you're going for the life that you want. They'll be triggered by the fact that you realize, I'm gorgeous, I'm amazing, I'm not going to settle for less. Essentially what's happening is that they're mourning the version of you that is no longer there. And the way that they're doing that is that they're in denial. They're actually not ready to mourn you yet. They haven't accepted the fact that the old version of you is no longer there. So the way that they try to keep you alive is by asking you questions to make you doubt yourself so that you can step back into the role that you used to fulfill in their lives. Say that you used to be a people pleaser. That's when people will start making you do things that are people pleasing them. I had this happen to me recently. I was talking to one of my family members who's always very negative and only has negative points of views to bring up. And we were having a conversation at the coffee table with some other family members. And during the whole conversation, because I don't feel like I need to compromise myself, I was not feeding in to this family member's delusions and negativity, which is what I used to do when I was a kid. And this family member, I could feel that they were looking at me. They were waiting for me to respond. They were waiting for me to bring up something negative as well, for me to jump into the conversation and defend them and supply them in their validation of negativity. And I could tell that the fact that I didn't want to compromise myself and I didn't want to enter into the conversation, it pissed this person off. Because you know what happens when someone who's not leveling up sees that you've leveled up and you have stronger boundaries and you're not willing to compromise themselves? They're going to start becoming verbal. And they're going to start pointing out little flaws about you to make it seem like you're an immoral and bad person. And this is exactly what this family member did. Afterwards, I had to help out with something. And this was a very, very little conversation. I was trying to carry one thing to another part of the house. And I'm trying to pass this family member that I'm having a conversation with. I'm trying to get this thing into the car. And as I'm trying to go outside and put something in the car, this person is kind of standing in the way, and I'm like, hey, can I move past you and go and put it in the car? And as soon as I was alone with this person for 1 second, they started saying to me that I was spiteful. They started saying that I was spiteful for saying, hey, would you mind moving out the way? And I know with myself that that had nothing to do with me, but it had something to do with the fact that me not engaging with this person and their negative beliefs made them become extremely verbal. This is what usually happens when you level up, when you go from vibrating down here to vibrating up here. When you step into your pretty privilege, when you become hotter, when you become more gorgeous, both inside and out, your vibration is going to go from down here to up here. And there's going to be a dissonance between you and the people that you used to spend a lot of time around. This is going to be uncomfortable, and it's going to be uncomfortable for both you and that other person. But the only thing that can happen in this instance is that you, who's up here, you lower yourself. Because you might think, well, if I'm good and if I'm nice, this person down here might be able to rise to my level. But the thing is, this person wants you to lower yourself and be nice and say, oh, I'm sorry. I'm not spiteful. I'm not spiteful. I'm so sorry. Did you feel I was spiteful? They want you to apologize. They want you to compromise. And the reason they're doing this is because they can't handle the energy of being up here. So the only option is for you to come down to their level. That is the only thing they're ever going to be comfortable with, even if it includes them being extremely negative. I remember after having that interaction with this person, them calling me spiteful for just doing what I needed to do. I remember the feeling in my gut. I remember this tug. Did I do something wrong? Was I being immoral? But I also know within myself that this person has a pattern. That every time they see someone who does better than them, they will start finding ways to pin them down when they know that they can. And with me, they know that they can. And this is why it's very, very important to be wary of the people that are closest to you. You need to be very wary of those people. This means your friends. This means your family. Because these are the people that have had access to you the most throughout your life. And when you're suddenly realizing how gorgeous, how deserving, how amazing you are, and you're starting to set clear boundaries to getting the life that you want, the only thing that they see is the way that they've compromised you. And truly, the only thing that they're comfortable with is you continuously being compromised by them so that they can coddle you, because then they feel that they're good people. Essentially, people that don't want you to do well want you to do worse than them. And suddenly, when you're not doing worse than them, they freak out. And this is why they have a broke mentality. They have a scarcity mentality when it comes to getting validation and happiness from other people. They think in order for them to be happy, in order for them to be fulfilled, other people need to suffer. And they might not tell you this overtly or openly, but that's exactly what they feel. Because people that bring you down and that feel comfortable bringing you down consciously, verbally, especially by questioning the efforts that you put into yourself, saying, oh, you take too much pride in your looks. These people have broke mentalities. And these people often also have victim mentalities, thinking it's the whole world who's against them. Because they think the whole world is against them, that's the narrative and the alibi that they're trying to keep up. And the way that they keep it up is by trying to make you be spiteful. So they tell you that you are spiteful. They tell you that you are mean, that you are immoral, that you are narcissistic, so that they can keep on validating their own reality. Have you ever thought about the sentence, well, everyone deserves to be treated nice? And how, when it comes to everyone who's not doing that well, that's a perfectly normal sentence to say. Everyone needs to be treated nice, especially those that have it hard. But when it comes to someone who's actually leveled up their life, who's actually understood the power of their pretty privilege and who puts it into work strategically, someone who's not ready to settle for less, someone who actually has boundaries, someone who carries themselves like a princess, a queen, and a goddess, then no one's saying everyone should be treated nice regardless. They're saying, wow, you're doing too much. The whole everyone should be treated nice, it's ringing true to everyone except for when a pretty girls walk into the room. And that's actually also what happens when it comes to dating. And this is why it is extremely important, if you are a pretty girl, that you understand that you cannot afford to date broke men. Because broke men have broke mentalities. And I'm not saying you have to go out and date multimillionaires. I'm not saying that your man has to be able to buy you 3 Birkins a week and a G-Wagon, but you cannot date men that take from you when you have more. You cannot be around people in general that take from you when you have more. Have you ever been in the situation when you were a kid where you made a bit of money doing something for someone else, and then you go home to your mom and you show her the money. You're like, I made $20. And your mom is like, oh, I'll hold that for you. Or, oh, I'll hold half of that so you don't spend everything on candy. We all know that the whole, I'll hold that for you, that's not going to be money that you'll ever see again. And this is exactly what broke men do to pretty women. When you are a gorgeous woman and you spend around men that have a broke mentality, that have a scarcity mentality, they believe that in order for them to keep having access to you, they need to belittle you and they need to keep you controlled. And the way that they do that is by humbling you. It's by making comments on you that are extremely backhanded. Like, wow, you're really wearing a lot of makeup. Or I don't think you should wear that dress out. I like it better when women don't wear that stuff. And you know what is actually a really, really telltale sign that a man has a broke mentality? When he asks you to contribute more because you have financial wins in your life. And again, I'm not saying that you can't buy your boyfriend a matcha latte or buy him a Lego set because you made a little extra money and now you want to treat him too. But if this man is not treating you, if this man is not doing everything in his power to set you up for more peace so that you can have more time to make yourself more beautiful, then he doesn't deserve any of that. And when you're suddenly becoming more powerful, you're suddenly stepping into your own power, you're realizing how much you're worth, now he wants to tax you. This is called the broke people tax. And this is a tax you will have to pay if you spend time around broke people, especially when you are a pretty girl, because pretty girls are very, very valuable. And I'm not saying that pretty girls necessarily need to be Victoria's Secret models. I'm not saying that you need to have a size 0 body. You need to have legs that are longer than the neck of a giraffe. No. I'm saying that if you're a woman who puts effort into yourself and you realize your worth, your God-given worth, because you're born and you live and you deserve everything, when you realize that, when you become aware and you're no longer ready to succumb to the tales that society tells you that your beauty doesn't matter, because you know it does. You know that making yourself look good, making yourself feel good, taking care of yourself makes you more powerful. When you step into your power, you realize what your pretty privilege can do for you. You realize how amazing of a person you are. Broke people will try to tax you. One, because they feel scared. They feel intimidated in your company now. You're up here. You're not down here anymore. And the only way that they can make you come down to them is by taxing you. And what do I mean by taxing you? Now that you're actually taking care of yourself, that you have the space, the time, the leverage, the people around you that can better your life, now they think that they deserve it too, just because they're there in your life, just because they're your partner, or they're your mom, or they're your longtime friend. They feel entitled. And the reason they feel entitled is because they know they can't go out there and get it for themselves. So now they want you to give it to them without them actually doing the work. And when you actually don't make them do the work themselves, and I'm not saying you're going to have to force them to do the work. You should never try to level up your family and friends ever. It should be something that they do out of their own free will, always. But when you don't let them do the work on themselves, by themselves, and you give to people that don't support you and that aren't working on themselves, they're going to see that they can take a little bit more and a little bit more until you have less and less and less. And you know what that's going to make you? In the long run, it's going to make you uglier, because you know what's going to happen? You can't understand. You're being a nice person. You're being a generous person. You're being an amazing person. You're being a good person. Why do I keep getting less and less and less? It's because you haven't reached the top. It's because you haven't climbed the mountain fully, so you have a safe space. You want to give back before you even have enough for yourself. You can't do that. And this is what broke people sniff out. They're so caught up in the fact that if someone has something, that means that the only way that they can get that in their life is for them to take it from someone else. They think that the universe isn't abundant enough for them to be able to have enough. They think that. They think that because someone else is a millionaire, that means that they can't be a millionaire unless they take from that person. They think it's all about taking and taking and taking. And if you're someone who's trying to get both your looks, your money, your whole mental and physical glow up, everything going for you, you will be brainwashed by being around broke mentality people, because they will make you think that the only way to get more is to take from other people. And if you're someone who takes from other people, that makes you immoral. But in reality, that's what they're doing with you. And they're not calling themselves immoral. They're saying that they're the victim and that you deserve to give them, because they know that you're someone who was willing to give before. And you are not willing to give because you were going to get anything back. You might have thought that you're going to get something back in the day, but now you understand that you're not going to get anything back from giving to people that don't even want to help themselves. But they don't think that they're immoral for taking. They can't see that both you and me and everyone else can have whatever they want in their life, and you don't need to take from other people. You don't need to let bad things happen. But they don't realize that they're literally digging their own hole, their own little pit to fall into, and they're dragging you into that pit. But that's what I'm telling you. That's what's happening. And that's why you have to be resilient. That's why you have to stand up for yourself. And that's why you have to walk out. That's why you have to be very, very wary when you do become more successful, not to share your success with everyone and their mom. Only people that you trust very, very much. And even so, you can't share everything with your friends and family. And the people that you want to test out, maybe you have a couple friends where you want to figure out, can I trust them or not? Give them a little taste of the success you're getting. Actually, make up a lie. If you're hanging around your girlfriends and you're trying to figure out if they're jealous of you, and you're trying to figure out if they want to drag you down, tell them that your boyfriend bought you an amazing gift. Be overjoyed. Act overjoyed. See what happens when you share success with people. Don't share actual true success. Share some success that they can't take from you, like a gift. And if they start saying, oh, wow, you're really someone whose boyfriend does everything for you, huh? Or, oh, I never get anything. Or you have it really easy. You can't be friends with these people anymore. You can't be friends with people that are negative. You can't be friends with people that have victim mentalities. You can't be friends with people that are going to tell you that everything needs to be fair, because these people don't act fair. These people don't believe in fair in reality. They only believe in fair when it comes to people that are not doing so good. But when it comes to people that are doing good and that actually have worked for the stuff that they have, that have taken the time to make themselves the version of themselves that get everything that they want, then it's not good anymore. Oh, you're doing too much. Oh, you think you're too pretty, huh? Oh, you really wear that much makeup? This is also why men have a tendency to tell women that are gorgeous, and that are also smart. Oh, you're wearing so much makeup. How many pounds of makeup are you wearing? You're a 3 out of 10. We should go on a date to the pool the first time we go on a date because I want to see if you actually look that nice under your makeup. They say this for a reason. They say this because they feel intimidated by the fact that you have better boundaries, you have better standards, you know how to rise and step into better environments, and you're not going to settle for less, which means that you're not going to settle for them anymore. You're not going to settle for their pettiness and their games. This is why they try to react outwardly. When people become insecure and when people have something within themselves that they refuse to work on, they become verbal. They start telling you that you're spiteful. They start telling you that you're narcissistic. They start telling you that you're mean, that you're greedy. They start telling you that you are materialistic. This is one that they always like to throw towards women that have higher standards. They like to tell you that you're materialistic and that you're a gold digger. And apart from that, they also like to throw in, oh, you're a 2 out of 10. You're wearing too much makeup. You're not beautiful. I bet you that there are going to be people in this comment section. Just watch out. There are going to be people in this comment section that are saying these exact things. And the reason that they're saying these exact things is because there's something within themselves that they refuse to work on that they need to verbalize in order to cancel out the desires that they have. They're trying to drown out the noise of these desires, their intuition within them. They're hoping that you're going to stoop down to their level and validate them in their verbalization of the things that they worry about. When they say, I think you're a 3 out of 10, when they say you're wearing too much makeup, when they say you're a gold digger, you are focusing too much on your looks don't matter, all of this. Everyone should be treated nicely regardless. What about broke men? Don't they deserve love? If you truly were a man who understood that you're going to get love regardless, if you're a man who's happy within yourself, if you're a man who's actually secure, and you know that you don't need to be a millionaire to get the girl that you want, you're going to get the girl that works for you and who's going to be your girl, you would never, ever say these things. If you're happy with the life that you're living, if you're truly happy with the life you're living, you would never be verbal towards other people about thinking that they're doing too much. So this is also something that you might have to review with yourself. Are you someone that when you see someone doing very well and when you see someone doing exponentially better than you're doing, are you inspired or do you become jealous? Do you want to chit chat with your girlfriends about how, wow, they got it good, they got too much, wow, I could never do that? What you're feeling inside is actually your desires telling you that you need to work on something, that you have bigger desires, you have bigger dreams that you need to work on. And the thing is, if you are actively working on making your desires come true, doesn't mean that you have them right now, doesn't mean that you have everything that you want right now. But if you're actively working on trying to make them come true, you're also not going to be verbal. Because you know what? It doesn't make any sense. Because it's going to take valuable time and energy from you that you could focus on making yourself a better version of yourself. So I want you to consider, if you have people around you that every time they see someone who's successful, see someone who's rich, see someone who's taken care of, see someone who has everything that they want, see someone who lives a life that is what is nice, do they become defensive? Do they say, well, someone shouldn't want that much, and I'm sure you don't want that much? I had a family member say that to me. I have very clear boundaries about some of the things that I expect in my life. And we were having a little conversation about that because suddenly now I'm a grown woman and this is a female family member who, wanted to assess how I was doing. Wow, are you thinking about the future? And this is before I knew that I needed to play dumb. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. And when I mentioned what I want in my life and the things that I'm looking forward to getting, when she sees me wearing the clothes I do, wearing the makeup I do, carrying the bag I did, she will always say, oh, you really got it going on, huh? And she doesn't say that verbally, but she kind of has this. Actually, she does say that verbally. I remember once I sent her a picture of me out Christmas shopping and she said, ooh, you have a Louis Vuitton bag? And I remember I made it very, very clear to her. We were talking about what I want in my life and I said, you know what? If I'm ever going to have kids, I'm going to have to stay home with them. I'm not ever settling for a life where I'm going to be working unless it's for myself. And I also have to worry about being a mother at the same time. That's not going to happen. That's not what I want. That's not going to make me fulfilled. I'd much rather be home with them and take good care of them because they deserve to have a mother who's present. And I don't want to send my kids to, daycare as soon as they're born. And you know what she said to me? Wow, you're going to get really bored. I think you want more than that. I think you want more than that. Notice how she said that? More than that. Like it isn't enough. Like me making it very clear that what I want in my life isn't enough. And you know why she's saying that? She's saying that so that I feel like I need to perform more, so that I can become more burned out, and then suddenly we're at the same level again. And ironically enough, this person always likes to talk about how they're stressed out, which is why you should never take advice from people that are not living the life that you want to live. If you wouldn't switch places with these people, don't take advice from them. And be very cautious. Actually, see whatever they tell you as a cautionary tale of what you shouldn't do. When she told me, oh, you're going to want more. You shouldn't settle for that little. I realized that the life I want for myself is mine to have. And it's not too much. And it's not too little. It's just perfect. Because this person was telling me that it's not enough. That I need to do more. And that's something that people will usually tell pretty gorgeous women that have their life together and that are not burned out, that are not in a compromising situation, that actually have healthy relationships, that actually have good people around them. Girls that are stepping in to a higher power, that are not settling for less, that are not dating broke guys, that are not going out and wasting their time with people that make them feel less than because they want to make sure that other people feel good. So they're going to put all of their energy into making other people feel good so that they don't have any energy left for themselves. People in your close vicinity are going to be extremely triggered by this. They're going to be triggered by your boundaries. And this is why you have to play dumb. This is why it's essential that when you are around people, especially family members and friends that you might not want to talk to that much anymore, but you might run into once in a while, you need to act like things are not really going that well for you. You cannot afford to share your success with these people. This is why it is actually a very, very good idea to come off if you are a little ditzy, if they are making better choices than you. Because it keeps you from having to defend yourself, it keeps you from being questioned by them, and it keeps you from having to put your guards up around them. You know right where you have them when you make them feel like they have the upper hand. This is a very important strategic move to make if you are a pretty girl who's trying to make a better life for yourself and you're trying to set boundaries with other people. Because playing dumb is a boundary that they don't pick up on. It's not you saying, this is my boundary and I don't want to deal with that. It's you making them feel like they're in the driver's seat. When they feel that they're right, you get peace. And you might say, well, I don't want to have peace. I want to make them see that I'm doing better. If you're obsessed with making other people see that you are doing better now, that's something you need to go and work on. You cannot be getting a better life, making yourself hotter, getting what you truly want in your life out of spite, out of resentment, trying to prove other people wrong. These motives are not going to take you towards the top. They're not going to make you realize your dream life because they're not motivated by what you want. They're motivated by what you don't want. And if you're focusing too much on what you don't want, you're going to end up back where you were. This is why it's extremely important that you do play dumb, because you understand that it's smart to play dumb. You understand that in order to protect yourself, you need to stay under the radar so that when you're not spending time around them, you have your peace and you're not going to get questioned. This is why it's good to have a little fake story about something that's not going quite right, so they can feel like they're coddling you. You got to make up a fake story though, not something that's not going right in your life, because that will make you emotionally attached to them. That will be trauma attachment. You will have a trauma bond with these people now. Make up a fake story. Make it seem like you're really petty. Make them feel like they have the moral high ground, and then you can move in peace. Because true privilege is being able to move in peace and make the moves that you need in order to get the life that you want, and understanding that getting the life that you want doesn't mean that you're trying to prove to everyone that you're better, that look at me, I'm doing something you said I couldn't do. If you're doing it out of spite, if you're doing it out of resentment, you're not getting what you want. You need to work on yourself in peace. And if you're not willing to work on yourself in peace and you need to tell other people about how well you're doing, especially those that treated you wrong, you're lowering yourself. You're not protecting your pretty privilege. You're not protecting your beauty. You're not becoming more beautiful inside out. You're never going to have enough to share, and you will have a broke mentality. So protect your peace, be strategic, and understand that pretty girls don't hang around broke people.